Good evening. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Ms. Valbuena.
Now, thank you, President West. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Valbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 727-119-080 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratuito. Nuevamente llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 727-119-080 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web en mcs4kids.com, dirigiéndose a la parte inferior en la pantalla haciendo clic en Quick Links y después en Board Agendas para leer la agenda de esta noche, o quien esté presente en la noche de hoy, estaré sentada en la parte de atrás. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Valbuena. Welcome to the Modesto City Schools 1465th regular board meeting of August 16th, 2021. This meeting is now called to order. In closed session, the board gave direction to legal counsel. And it looks like we are all here tonight, so we do not need to do roll call, including our student representative. Welcome. Please stand and join me for a moment of silence at this time. Thank you. You may be seated. Good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district website, and the recordings will be available the day after the board meeting. Modesto City School board meetings have been adjusted to follow health and safety precautions until further notice. Modesto City Schools has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined in the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but they have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting, and they are also available to the public. The voice and email comments will be attached to future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. The board bylaw 9322B states if you do wish to address the board during the public period for public comment on a subject which is not on our agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card, and I have two right now, prior to the period for public comment. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You will find the cards in the lobby in the back, and then you can hand your card to Ms. Chambers in the back. Ms. Chambers, would you raise your hand? Thank you. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out your card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. The maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, and we have a total of 30 minutes. We are moving on now to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are pleased that we have student Pledge of Allegiance leaders back in person tonight. We would like to, yay! So we would like to welcome students from Fairview Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute tonight. So when I call your name, would you please stand? The first name is Evelyn Contreras. Welcome, Evelyn. Fourth grader Evelyn Contreras is a member of the Folcloria Los Falcones dancing group. She loves playing at the park with her friends and playing soccer with her sister. Evelyn is a terrific reader and mathematician. Following college, she wants to be a pediatrician. Our next student is Fatima Soto. And would you please stand? Thank you. Fatima, welcome. Fatima is also in 4th grade, and she is a great role model for her peers. When she sets her mind on a goal, she follows through with it. Fatima enjoys playing basketball with her siblings and watching investigative television shows. Following college, she would like to be a police officer or a teacher. Welcome, and would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Are they being a little bit shy right now? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job, ladies. You may be seated. And would you please come up so we can take your picture and present you with a certificate? Do you want to do one at a time or both together? Okay, Evelyn. You guys do that. You girls did a great job. Here we go. And have fun up here, honey.
Pictures. One at a time.
Can we scoot over
Okay,
this
scoot
way
over just a little bit right there.
A little bit more, a little bit more.
That's, you're gonna go right like that.
Perfect.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. One more. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ladies.
Thank you. Give them a round of applause. It can be kind of intimidating to come up here with all these people, so I'm really proud of them. They did a great job. We now are we'll give Dr. Noguchi a chance to get back to her seat, and then we have Dr. Noguchi's welcome and announcements.
Wonderful, thank you. And welcome everyone to tonight's board meeting, both in person and online. First, I would like to welcome our student trustee for her first board meeting, Rana Banaka. Very excited that she's with us this evening, and I'm very excited to witness the oath of office that she will be taking for the State Board of Education's student board member. So it is an exciting night for me. I've never seen that, so you're going to be the first student board member for the state that I've had the opportunity to work with. I really want to capitalize on this year and the opportunity we have to really get more student voice, and so working together, I'm sure that we can make that happen, so welcome. The next one, I really want to say how excited I am that schools are open. 5 days a week, all levels, everyone's back in class. I've been out and about in classes, watching teachers, talking with students, talking with principals. There's excitement out there. It's a lot of work to get to where we are at this point, but I want to stop and just say thank you to everyone for their hard work, determination, grit, frustration, and really just, their brain power behind solving the problems that come before us. But thank you for all of your work, both staff, parents, community, and obviously the board. Last, I think that's it. So I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on now to board member reports. Do I see any lights for board members? Okay, we're going to just work our way this way. So Trustee Maestas?
Thank you. I also want to echo Superintendent Gucci's statement on opening school. My kids are all very, very happy, and my daughter just lights up my day every day, seeing that she's happy to be there with her friends and at school. So she's enjoying PE. And my other son says his favorite time is recess. So there you go, right? We're right back where we started in that case. I do also want to report that myself and Trustee Urban were at the CIFA board meeting this last week. We discussed two bonds in particular that were voted on, levying a special tax on to gather some more, to kind of continue forward with those. So pretty straightforward meeting. Just approve those two taxes, and that was about it. So just want to give a report and just say how happy I am. Since I've been on the school board, and this actually both of us, Trustee Mejia and myself, I haven't had the opportunity to have any kids in a school board meeting since I've been on the board. So this is a new thing for me, and I'm very, very happy to see people here today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Trustee Irvin?
Yes, what Trustee Maestra said. No. Yes, I was at the CIFA board meeting, and so he elaborated on that already. I just want to say also, my daughter is excited about her senior year this year as well, and she is regretting taking 3 AP classes this year, but nonetheless, she is a happy senior this year, and looking forward to leadership. She's in leadership, and she's the senior class president, so she looking forward to that. Also, I was very pleased to see, I had just out of nowhere went around to some of our schools to see how football teams were getting along in our COVID environment, and was really pleased to see that I saw everybody taking the precautions that have been put in place out there as much as possible, even under the heat. It's all mask, and students being as social distance as possible amongst the coaches and things like that. So that was good to see that they were trying to adjust to those things that are happening in that community, and still being able to play the sport that they love. So that was good. I got around to several of our high schools to witness that. That's it.
Thank you. Vice President Lopez?
I thought by the time it got to me, I would be saying yes. Likewise, I enjoyed the field trip that we had last Monday, 2 Mondays ago, right? 2 Mondays ago, where we got to visit some of the sites throughout our district. Thank you to all the work of everyone that from the bond that helped a lot with renovating and updating some of our facilities, to the folks that planned it, and the folks that are getting it done. Right, it was so awesome to see the growth and the freshness of new things in our district. So that was great. So everyone's mentioning about their kids' first day of school. I don't have kids, but I like to mention that this is the first year that my family does not have one of their students at Modesto City Schools since 1993. So we had 5 brothers and sisters. So this is the first year that I didn't get to hear about it, but I've heard a lot of great things from other folks in the community. So thank you for bringing our students back, and so they're happy, and we're glad to see that.
Thank you. Trustee Marks?
Yes, just to add on to Trustee Lopez, I know many of us went on the bus tour. We rode the electric bus. It was kind of a test run again, and so it was really fun to ride an electric bus. And we were riding it with the Bond Oversight Committee, which was awesome because they got to see all the facilities that they're just checking on to make sure that the taxpayers' money is being spent appropriately. And I had so many positive comments from them. They were just so excited about what's happening. So we got to see the new cafeteria at Wilson. I know that's one we've been asking for a while, and we got to see that, though that wasn't bond money, that was our own finances. And then we saw the Health Academy at Davis High School, which is really cool to see that. and what's happening for our students over there. And Downey's new cafeteria, which is like, wow, it's like a cool, restaurant you go into, or not a restaurant, but like a Starbucks where you'd go into and get to select items. And we saw Bret Hart, which had a fire and lost a few of our buildings a couple years ago. I think it's 2 years ago. Anyway, that was awesome to see those. I know we're getting a report on some of these tonight, but it was just fun to see that. And then we also spent a full day on policy. And so we're just boring. But anyway, it's just going through making sure that the rules that we abide by and adapting those to the new laws and making sure that they're in alignment with the new laws. So I think we did 85 of them that day, something like that, but it was a long day. So we completed that, and I appreciate all my board members and the great discussion that we had over some of those new policies for our school district. So it was good.
Thank you. I think I saw Trustee Brown's hand up.
I think I've got this working now. Just have to reiterate how exciting it was to go on the bus trip. Since I've been participating on the construction committee and I've heard about all these projects, and also that day to be able to go to Johansson and see the groundbreaking or witness the groundbreaking for a new structure, the new athletic training facility that we'll have at Johansson High School. So much exciting, positive things happening in the district, improvements that will be contributing to our ability to better educate students. And once again, thank you to the community for their support on the bond measures that allows us to make these improvements. Two other things I wanted to mention. I did attend a meeting of the Stanislaus County School Boards Association, learned a lot about issues statewide that are important to all the districts in the county. And I want to report to our board that the fall dinner that is normally put on by that group is on hold at this point until the appropriate date and time could be that will happen in October, but it may be pushed into January. So I'll keep you informed, and I know the district will have information as that comes about. Last but not least, I want to report that I was able to attend first day celebrations at Beyer High School and witness the excitement of our students and our staff as they got to come back for a real day at school. I've been to those celebrations at the start of school at various campuses since I came on the board, but I have never felt the energy and excitement and enthusiasm that I witnessed at Beyer that day. So, it's great to see our students back at school. Great to see them anxious to be there and wanting to learn. So, good feeling all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't want to be too repetitive. The field trip on the bus was awesome, seeing all the great things going on. We have so many exciting, positive things happening in the district, and I'm really pleased to see that. My grandchildren attend schools in Modesto City Schools, and talking to them after the first day of school, I have never seen those kids so excited to be in school, and I think a lot of our kids are feeling that way right now. So it's wonderful to see that. The first day of school, I was on the La Loma Junior High School campus, and it was amazing to see the kids, the excitement, the nerves, kind of like deer in the headlights. Some of them, they were a little bit scared to be back on campus. But let me tell you, the principal, the assistant principals at that school, the PE department that was outside welcoming, the campus supervisor, they just were so welcoming and loving to these children as they're coming back on campus, greeting them, loving them, welcoming them back. And I'm just so happy to see the great staff that we have who really care about the kids in our district. So I think that's all awesome and good news. So, Miss Noonan, do we have some more good news with some recognitions tonight?
We sure do. We sure do. So thank you so much, Board President West, and to the other board trustees, as well as members of the cabinet and members of the public. I am so excited. Everyone here knows that I am very enthusiastic about things. And tonight, believe it or not, is our first recognition, in-person recognition, since March 9th, 2020. So I would like us just to kind of reflect on that for a second, because we still carried on the recognitions, but we did it virtually. And I'm so proud of my team and to the team here at MCS to be able to do that. But I am just thrilled. It touches my heart to have you guys here in person. So thank you for coming tonight. So first up, we will be celebrating a student with outstanding character through our Character Education Recognition Program. Tonight we have Sonoma Elementary music teacher Katrina Van Walterop here presenting this award to Christine Jensen for perseverance. So if you'd like to come up to the, or actually come up here with Becky, and then I have the award right here that you can hand to her, Katrina.
Thanks. Good evening. Christine Jensen is one of those students who helped me get through all the good and not so good school days last year. She shows many of the 9 MCS character traits. Christine transferred to Sonoma from Fremont for the GATE program. In a normal year, changing schools is hard, but in the virtual world, that's another story. She was in my strings class and showed up to every virtual music class in her bedroom with her headphones and camera on. This summer, I offered an enrichment course designed for all students who were unable to start a string instrument last year due to the pandemic. Christine signed up knowing this was a beginner class, and I asked if she would like to be my classroom assistant, or in musical terms, ringer. She offered to help other students in our class and was very encouraging. Christine even got up enough courage to get up and play a musical solo in class. Christine Jensen is a rock star who persevered during the last school year, took initiative, and has compassion for other students. She's extremely deserving of this award, and I'm very proud of her. Congratulations, Christine.
They're just going to take a photo really quick with Superintendent Noguchi as well as Board President West. Would you like to join them in the photo? Great, congratulations, Christine. Let's give her another hand. All right, next up, we are going to celebrate our MCS hero. Tonight, we are celebrating Rose Avenue Elementary computer literacy teacher, Carrie Sakusky. I hope I said your name correctly. Sakusky, okay. Nominated by the Rose Avenue Student Records Clerk Cheryl Garcia, Principal Heather Herbst is here tonight to present the award on her behalf. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and Becky's right here.
Put my principal voice on. Good evening. I'm excited to be here tonight to share this nomination that was submitted by our school records clerk. But I will say the sentiment is across the board by all the students and staff that Ms. Sakusky supported last year. I would like to nominate our wonderful computer teacher as an MCS hero. She was a true lifesaver at the beginning of last year. Distance learning was such a challenge for staff, students, and families. She made herself available to anyone who needed help. Sometimes she would be 5 families deep, waiting for help, and she would get to them all. We could refer any parent that we could not get help to, and she would solve almost every problem. Throughout the year, when we needed devices set up for new students, she would be the first person that I would contact, and those devices were set up with lightning speed. She never once complained and always had a positive attitude. Her constant smile, which you can't see right here, was truly appreciated, especially during this challenging year. I honestly do not know what our staff and students would have done without Ms. Sakusky over the period of the year. She was a hero as a computer teacher, but more importantly, she was a positive hero for the staff and families. We are truly blessed to have her as part of our team.
We'll go ahead and invite for photos once again. Thank you so much. That completes tonight's recognitions, and congratulations to the recipients.
Thank you.
Becky.
Our staff members work so hard. It's wonderful to see these recognitions. Thank you, Ms. Noonan. We're moving on to A8, which is the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have any comments regarding the consent agenda items from the public? Ms. Chambers? Okay, thank you. So I'm looking now for a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight.
Move approval?
Approval by trustee Marks and seconded by trustee Mejia. All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See none, it passes unanimously. Thank you. We're moving on now to item A9, which is the approval of the order of discussion action items. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the order of the discussion action items this evening. Trustee Vice President Lopez and seconded by Trustee Brown. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you. And now we're moving on to A10, which is our period for public presentations. Thank you, everyone, tonight for attending and for showing interest in our schools. It looks like we have 2 cards tonight, and so I'm going to ask each speaker to come to the podium and address the board, and you each will have 3 minutes to speak. The first name is Sarah Batista. Thank you. Welcome.
Slide? Okay. Exciting to be here in person. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Noguchi and staff. My name is Sarah Bautista, and I'm the mother of a 2nd grader and kindergartner at Ensign Elementary. I'm here before you tonight to voice my concern regarding the current policy in place for students returning to school after an absence due to illness. I first encountered the current COVID policy last spring when my then 1st grader contacted a cold. When I called him into the attendance clerk, I was informed that he would have to remain out of school for 10 days or provide a negative COVID test or physician's note stating he did not have COVID in order to return to campus. We opted to get him COVID tested so he could return to in-person instruction as soon as possible. While we waited for his test results, he was able to still participate in class via distance learning. He was absent on a Thursday, feeling better with no symptoms by Saturday, but did not return to school until the following Tuesday as we waited for test results. Last Thursday, August 12th, my kindergartner, 3 days deep into school, woke with a stuffy nose, cough, and sore throat. Having encountered the policy last year, I first called him in and simply stated he would not be attending school that day. When he was still not feeling well on Friday, I called him in and acknowledged that he was not feeling well, and again was informed of the 10-day quarantine COVID negative policy. Last Friday, I searched for a COVID appointment test through our healthcare provider, Kaiser. The earliest PCR test was not available until Tuesday morning, which would have most likely put him out of school for the entire week as we waited for results. I then searched for test appointments through County HSA website and local drugstores to no avail. I ended up paying $150 for a rapid test at a site behind the mall. That's how important that I feel he return to school and be there for his 2nd week of kindergarten. I strongly encourage the district to reevaluate the current policy. While I fully understand precautions must be taken regarding illness, missing 10 days of instruction every time a child has a sniffle is simply not reasonable. The reality is that children, especially young children, will get sick and usually recover quickly. And there will be more sickness this year as children are in school full-time and restrictions have relaxed. As the policy stands, it deters families from being honest. Many families I've spoken with were horrified that I actually told the school my child was sick. I have also found that most families, in general, are trying to do the right thing in these uncertain times, keeping their children home at the slightest onset of a cough or cold. This will not continue if parents are slapped with a 10-day quarantine for trying to do the right thing. Furthermore, and most importantly, children are missing out on instruction. There's not a backup virtual option this year. If they're absent, they're missing school, period. My son, who has been back to his active self since yesterday, will be back in school tomorrow as I sent his negative test results to school today. Had we not tested, he would not have been allowed back until August 23rd, 1 week from today. And while requiring negative COVID tests sounds simple, I'm not sure how many of you have endured a nasal swab with your 5-year-old strapped in their car seat crying. It's not a pleasant experience that a child should have to endure every time they have to miss a day of school. Can I finish or?
Well, your time is up, but if you have another short sentence or so, go ahead.
Yes. If the policy is to continue, I do suggest the district create an action plan for providing accessible testing and quick results to students and families. My family has the means, fortunately, to purchase a rapid test out of pocket to speed up the process and transportation to arrive at a testing site with little notice. Many families in our school district do not. I would encourage the district to reevaluate the policy, acknowledging children will get sick and in greater numbers than last year as restrictions have continued to loosen. Students and families need a reasonable path for a safe and timely return to much-needed instruction. Thank you for your time and commitment to our students.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Debbie Martinez.
Before you, hi, Ms. West. Nice to
Good
see you.
evening, welcome.
I'm going to be passing out some literature, so before you start the clock, come on, Zeph. This is my president for We Are La Raza Parents Union, and you'll see that I have a bigger umbrella to carry. So Mark is passing out some literature. Go ahead, stand next to me. It's okay. I need your support right now. Oh, thank you. I do believe the one in Hispanic is for Homero Mejia, and then the rest for the board members. Thank you, Cindy. Hello, Chad. Good to see you. Okay, I guess I'm ready. You can start the clock now. My name is Debbie Martinez. I carry several titles. While the district went down, I went up. I am now chairperson for, as you see, California School Foundation. If I had it my way, the way we did in federal courts, I will cripple the system again. That parent that spoke right now, she would be the reason why I would speak. 10 days out for our children. Do you guys still get paid? The facilities look good, funding looks good, but the last time I left this facility, we were still short some funding when you guys were being monitored. I am here today because I represent the parents under We Are La Raza Parents Union. This would be my president. I also am educational liaison for the Latino Community Roundtable, educational liaison for California Rural Legal Association, but my number one priority would be the children. Homero Mejia, I'm going to put you on record. You said in 2011, 2012 school year, come talk to you when I get to legislation. I not only got to legislation, we have this board along with this district in federal courts. We passed SB 419 on the disciplining that you failed to talk about. So you, my friend, are now on record that you failed the disadvantaged population. Mr. Lopez, I fought over at the chambers down in City Hall for you to say something for our people. I had Washington, D.C. come down and talk to me on the governing boards that are failing in this county. I am in 20 districts, 3 counties, and you guys are number one on my hit list because what happened was, well, not that kind of hit list, but as far as crippling the system, you guys, it looks nice. Everybody sounds good, but what about our children? Is it going to be past practice because they don't want to wear their mask? Are they going to be disciplined because they have a tummy ache? Are they going to be sent home? Are you guys still getting the funding and misusing it? What is going on? We would like answers. Dr. Noguchi, the next time I go into your office, it's a public entity. So I don't yell. And when I do, it's in this governing board. So the next time you say I'm yelling at you when I have parents that bringing violations to your table, don't do that again. Pam Maples was a walk in the park. You would be a piece of cake to remove. I was here when you got hired. I remember Mrs. West clearly said, what will you bring to the table to make change? And yet, I get kicked out of your office. Public entity, not your office. It looks pretty, but it's not yours. Unless you want to work with us, I can do otherwise. So I am here to be the bearer of bad news. Yes, how nice. Everybody's welcoming back our children. It should have been like that before we went to federal courts. Thank you.
Ms. Martinez, could you introduce the person that you're with?
As you can see, I get riled up. Go ahead, introduce
Hello,
yourself.
my name is Severiano Magina. I just got involved with this thing just recently, so I don't have necessarily a ton that I'm going to get into as far as I am very disturbed. My son goes to school in Modesto High. He's in the IB program, which it's a great program. I didn't know anything about this, to be honest with you, up until this year. And come to find out, it's a phenomenal program. And congratulations, that's awesome. But that's not all that there is. One of the things that I'm really disturbed with is this whole mask thing. I asked Dr. Noguchi, as I was in the meeting, if has anybody ever asked anyone at all?
Sir, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know your name so that
Okay,
I
I'm
can
sorry.
associate your
Okay,
face.
I'm sorry.
I don't have a card from you for
That's fine.
speaking,
That's
but
fine.
but thank you, and it's nice meeting
That's fine.
you.
I understand you want to cut me off. That was a good time to cut me off, though. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on now to discussion and action items. And so we're pleased tonight. We'd like to recognize our new student representative to the board, Rana Banaka, and she's with us tonight for her very first meeting. So welcome to you. She serves not only as our student rep, but as Dr. Noguchi mentioned earlier, she will also serve as a member of our state Board of Education. And so we have the honor tonight of swearing her in a ceremony as she takes her oath of office for this very prestigious position. Rana, we would like you to join Vice President Lopez and myself up at the front to execute your oath of office. So will you join us at the front, please? Are you ready?
Should I go?
You can go anywhere that you want. How about you come right in the middle
That brings this way?
and face that way, right? So we'd like you to please raise your left hand, put your right hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I, Rana Hana Banaka, do solemnly swear
I, Rana Hannah Beninka, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
So congratulations, Ms.
Thank
Banaka.
you.
It is now official. You are a member of the State Board of Education.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I was fortunate enough to be on the interview committee when Ms. Banaka interviewed for this role, and I was super impressed. This young lady is going to go far, I can tell you that, so take note of that right now. Ms. Banaka, do you have a report to make at this time? I know schools have just opened, so I'm not sure. Do you have a report?
Yeah, thank you. Is this mic on?
Yes, maybe a little bit closer. There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the amazing introduction and for administering my oath. It's such an honor to serve on both the State Board of Education and the Modesto City Schools Board as well. It's truly a dream come true. I just want to preface this report by thanking the board for the amazing opportunity to serve all 30,000 students in the district and ensuring that our students have a voice on this board. I spoke to Dr. Noguchi earlier about some of our future agendas and what we're going to be working on, and I can just say I'm super excited to work on all of these transformative issues like dealing with equity and dealing with COVID, and so I'm really excited for the coming year. Right now, Ms. Hewlin and I are working on planning our first inter-high meeting. My personal goal for this council is to increase the number of students that are on the council as well as the diversity within the council to ensure that I can accurately represent the diversity of our district as the student rep. Because we haven't had an inter-high meeting yet, I can only speak from my experience of how school is going, but I will echo what some of the trustees before me have said, which is that all students are really excited. I can say for myself, I'm really excited to be back. I love school, and I just much prefer in-person instruction, so I'm so glad that we're able to come back to school. And then before I conclude this report, I just wanted to call out to any students who are listening right now. If you have any suggestions about what we can improve in our district, or if you have any questions about joining Interhigh or what Interhigh is, please contact me. I have a student board member email, and it's rbanankhahsbe@gmail.com, and that's just a public email. I'd love to reach out to you, and I'd love to hear from you, so please contact me, don't hesitate. And that'll be all.
Thank you, Ms. Banaka, and welcome again to our school board. Moving on to item B2, is there anyone here to speak on behalf of CSEA tonight? Seeing none. We'll move on to B3, and this is a report on the first day of school, and this is Mr. Godot.
Actually, Board President West, I will be taking it from the beginning. I'll be launching it, and it's actually going to be a shared presentation with members of the cabinet. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for this evening and for the time. So my name is Krista Noonan. I'm the Chief Communications Officer, and we're pleased tonight to provide a report on it's really the first week of school, but we'll be highlighting the first day activities, as well as showing you some different pieces that went into preparing to be able to open our schools. So the first slide is basically we're going to report some of the facts, again, for the first day and for the week. We'll be highlighting some photos from the school sites. We'll also be highlighting different parent supports and resources that we have, as well as providing an overview of next steps. But most importantly, let's talk about how this aligns to our district goals. Everything we do at the district is aligned to our strategic goals. This, obviously, providing welcoming school environments fits with Goal 3, both providing the promoting the outstanding students and the families and the parents and the staff that we have, but also from a customer service perspective, how are we meeting those needs in providing welcoming schools? Just to reiterate, we are so excited to have our students back on campus. The first day was Monday, August 9th, and it's been quite a busy week. Definitely a lot of happy, smiling eyes that we've seen, and a lot of enthusiasm across any campus that you go to. But I do want to reiterate just very quickly that we do follow all guidance from the California Department of Public Health. The guidance and the requirements mandate that we have all individuals wear masks when indoors at school sites, but we've also implemented that at district support and satellite offices for anytime you're in an area where there's more than one person to make sure that we're doing our part, regardless of vaccination status, to ensure that we're slowing the spread of COVID. And then outdoors, masks are not required for students or staff. So before I turn it over to my colleagues, we all have a portion in tonight's presentation. I really want to just emphasize what a team effort it is. We have a very collaborative team here at the district. I've been here 2 years, and you know, it's very symbiotic relationship. You can't have one cannot exist without the other. And I think that that's a really great thing that the district does. One thing I can emphasize is that everybody who works here is passionate and committed to the children and to the district and making sure that our kids are a success. So to start off tonight's presentation, I'm going to turn it over first to Associate Superintendent over Human Resources, Mr. Henderson, and then we'll go through several of the different areas that you see here. Mr. Henderson?
Good evening, trustees. This slide shows our human resources staffing numbers, pretty equivalent to numbers last year. It's been a very busy season, hiring, trying to staff all positions for the start of the year. Notably, the new hires section on this slide was different when I looked at last year's information that we provided to you. If you recall, back in March of 2020 and heading into the new year, it was pretty much a lot of uncertainty about the fiscal impact of the pandemic, so we slowed down a ton of hiring, and the numbers compared last year were very much lower. Thankfully, we're at the point of hiring back all those positions that we can, including a big cohort of certificated staff for the current year. Those are the human resources data. I'll pass it off to my colleague, Associate Superintendent, Business Services, Mr. Zierle.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Good evening, trustees. What you'll see on the next two slides is the work that went into supporting the first day of school. And what you see here are pictures from the aforementioned August 2nd bus tour, where we went around the school district, looked at various school site projects that were either completed or underway. And what you see here is Lakewood, single point of entry that obviously was underway, and then Wilson Elementary, the new cafeteria. We expect both of these projects to be completed sometime in October, when will be available for student use at that point in time. This is just kind of a summary of the sites that we visited and the projects you'll see here. But overall, we completed, or we started 38 projects this summer, and we spent or will spend an estimated $41 million on those 38 projects at the various school sites. Nutrition services, we are back to our traditional breakfast, snack, lunch feeding schedule daily at school sites, but we're also doing a curbside meal delivery once a week. And so you'll see the second bullet on Wednesday. We handed out 1,650 meals. And then you can see the breakfast and lunches we handed out at school Monday through Thursday of last week. We estimated Friday, and it would have been an estimated 96,832 meals, breakfast and lunches that were handed out the first week of school. Transportation highlights. We transported about 2,100 students daily. That's down from pre-COVID. We usually transport about 3,000 students pre-COVID. So last week we transported an estimate of 2,100 students. We have 62 buses in our fleet. 48 bus drivers and bus monitors are working daily on routes to get our students home to school. In preparation of the first week, we had 3 days professional development. And you can see some topics there that we discussed with them. Required classes and training for their bus driving certificate, COVID cleaning protocols, and special needs transportation. Now I'd like to turn it over to Russ Selkin, our Chief Technology Officer.
So the staff stepped up to the plate. I said all hands on deck was kind of our attitude and culture for the first week or two here, and that includes accountability as well as the technology and the ed tech staff. So we're continuing with our one-to-one. We did migrate all of the secondary students to Chromebooks, so that we are now a 100% Chromebook district, which helps out in the long run for continuity as well as cost of support and also reliability. The other aspect of it, our help desk, you can see the number of tickets there. We have almost 2,500 tickets and 575 175 calls. We've expanded our services so that if a teacher's busy, they can just chat. So we have a live chat session that they can break into with the help desk to help them out and assist it. As we go to the next slide, we did a lot of prep work as best we could over the summer. Over 1,000 classrooms got these courtesy cards. They're kind of like something you would see at a fancy hotel. It's got a check mark in the back and with their signature. And it basically says, your work is so important for our students, so we tested the following for you. So the teacher had some comfort level that the systems would be working, because we just want to work to make sure it's 100% transparent and just works every time. We also are extending our hours for families, and Reno Avenue will have 7 p.m. every Wednesday, as well as you can see the dates that we're going to go on Saturday, so that we can make sure that we have the best reliable customer service for our students, parents, and as well as the teachers. So that kind of highlights the first week of school we have, as well as a lot of other activities and training and in-servicing. A big exciting training we've been doing on a system called Performance Matters, and also with our dashboard will continue on throughout this semester and the school year.
Excellent. Thank you, Russ. And I'm actually covering for Dr. Odell tonight, who had a family member that she needed to attend to. So I just wanted to go over some of the excellent work that her and her team have been doing. They really have invested a lot of knowledge sharing and hours in developing a robust professional development program that was launched in the weeks before school started, really to help staff get re-engaged, but also to help them with a lot of that social emotional support as well. And we also provided equity training through EPIC Education from Dr. Nancy Dome, and that's actually a year-long effort that we'll be doing, and we did that last year as well, so it's further enhancing the equity training. And then Dr. Adele and her team also provided various supports for our new teachers. We have, as you could see from Mr. Henderson's slide, we have a very large amount of new teachers, as well as supports for our substitute teachers as well. So now I will transition over to Mr. Herbst.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, Student Support Services really got off to a great start. We started by welcoming a little over 3,500 students with disabilities to our schools. That's 3,500 IEPs that have to be in place beginning day one. So it's a tall order, a lot of good work there. Our ACES program, which provides enrichment and academic support to our students in grades K through 8, served almost 2,000 students during the first week. And I'll tell you, enrollment continues to increase daily. And finally, you know, this is brand spanking new. We began offering the before school care in the elementary sites this year. And this program provides much needed childcare for our families who struggle getting to work on time. Kind of innovative, opening up the gates early. And under Director Lamelli's leadership, providing some academic support, some enrichment, and some childcare. That got started this week with over 300 students participating, and that continues to expand as the sites enhance their offerings and or other families become aware of it. So honestly, from a student support perspective, off to a very, very good start. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Associate Superintendent Mr. Brad Godot.
Thank you, Mr. Herbst. Good evening, trustees. So over the past week, as you are well aware, trustees, the business of education is a people business, and the human beings were front and center of the past week. We spent the last several months preparing for the return of students and how we would welcome them back into the classrooms, but not just our students, but also our staff. And so the first week was really spent looking at the social emotional supports for our students and teachers through staff trainings, and really investing in that training so that when we brought students back, the focus was on reintegration to the school environment, understanding what it means to come back to school, and not just from the sense of getting into the classroom and learning, but how to interact with other children and other staff. For many of our students, it's been quite a journey. Some may not have even been physically present on campus for almost a year and a half. So that, you know, there's a lot to do there. We also focused this past week on student engagement and that transition from distance learning. So if you were out at a TK6 site, you saw a lot of recess rodeos and how we do the different protocols to really support a safe learning environment, and again, teaching students how to re-engage with the learning environment at our school sites. Next slide. But we also have students and families that have chosen not to physically attend school, and that is our support of that is being done through the Modesto Virtual Academy. So on there you see a couple pieces of data. You can see our total enrollment, which was just over 29,000 students as of last week. But we also had over the previous month, approximately 1,916 families that expressed interest in the Modesto Virtual Academy. Over those weeks, We have identified almost 692 students that have been what we'll term rostered, meaning they're actually in a Modesto Virtual Academy. They've been assigned to a teacher and they're participating in that program. We also have 174 students that have just completed that process, and we're in the process of assigning them to their MVA teacher. And we have about 238 families that are still engaging through the process. So they may have just expressed interest over the past week, maybe something changed, and we're having those conversations at the site level with the families to identify if Modesto Virtual Academy is indeed the program that they want to participate in. And we will support them through that process and do everything we can to meet the needs of our families that would like to participate in distance learning. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Krista Noonan.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Godot. And I'll actually be finalizing the presentation tonight, but this is one of my favorite portions because it's highlighting the happy photos, all the smiling faces. And anytime you see one, I do want to add this. If you see a photo, for example, the very beautiful little girl there, her parents took that and they gave us that photo. So that's why she's not wearing a mask, because she's still at home and she's getting ready to head off to school. But as you can see, the school sites, these are some of our elementary schools. They definitely rolled out the red carpet or sometimes blue carpet. They have balloon arches. They had DJs out there. Signage, all the site administrators come out, they have their mascots out there, and there is just a buzz of excitement. And I will say, even with it being 1 week into the school year, that buzz is still there. When you look at the junior high, same thing. There's Dr. Noguchi down there on the left welcoming students at Roosevelt Junior High. Mark Twain put signage up. We also have Hanshaw Middle School, La Loma. And they've all just done a really great job in welcoming the students back and helping them feel comfortable. Because again, this is a huge transition for these kiddos who perhaps haven't been on a campus before, and it can be a bit overwhelming to go from, say, a elementary school where there's a couple hundred, and then you're going to a very large junior high. So I just think it's really admirable, the job that they've done. And same with our high schools. As you can see, Beyer High School, as Trustee Brown mentioned that he went out to Beyer, they just did a phenomenal job with all the signage and their Beyer Patriot tunnel that they had out there, as well as Davis. Downey had the cheerleaders outside. Elliott had signage up. Johansson. As you can see in the lower right, that's actually Johansson Principal Nathan Shar doing an excellent selfie. That's probably the most people I've ever seen captured in a selfie before. So nice job, Principal Shar. But they've in Modesto High, I think, and one thing that we did too is we really debriefed and we received feedback from parents too about how wonderful the schools look. And I think that that's a really good point to share. There is pride in Modesto City Schools, and there's pride in our school campuses. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Zierli and his team for all the work that they've done. The schools are just in tip-top shape. We also have media coverage. That's where Becky Fortuna and I come in. We promoted the first day of school. I want to thank the Modesto Bee for coming out. We had both Emily Isaacman as well as Andy Alfaro come out to several sites to be able to interview and take photos. We also had Univision and Telemundo who came out and did bilingual interviews. That center picture is there at Modesto High. And then KCRA Channel 3 also came out. This is just to name a few, because we also had other stations as well who provided the coverage. And lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the excellent work that Mady Herrera and her team in the Parent Engagement and Outreach Department. Last year, they used to be called Student, Parent, and Community Support Services. So we have changed their department name for this year to be more on target with actually what they're doing with the parent engagement and outreach. And they are so focused on really providing those monthly training classes and being able to engage our parents, both in English and in Spanish. But they're offering it with the virtual format still. So that, because we did find this past year that amidst COVID, it really did, our numbers with parent engagements were off the charts because people were actually able to integrate it into their schedule and be able to attend from home, or perhaps they could get on and watch a recording afterwards. So we're definitely sticking with that format. So they have a robust training calendar available, and I included the bit.ly URL there. So far, they're offering classes in Go School Messenger, Schoology, Power School, and then they also have some upcoming classes on social emotional support. We're also offering a class on financial literacy as well. So we have some really exciting programs, and you can access all of that at the bit.ly that I've included. And just next steps, it's the machine is going, the train is rolling, and we're going to keep that train rolling, along with our commitment to our health and safety protocols, as well as our commitment to investing in the social emotional support, as well as professional development for our staff, and the ongoing commitment to parent education outreach and support. But we're happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Noonan, and all the staff. Did we have any comments from the public on this agenda item?
I have some comments.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Debbie Martinez from Advocate for Justice, since we are on record. It was stated here that there's 38 projects that's going to be costing $41 million. Where do we get the data on what 38 projects that will be conducting and on what sites? And then, that's one. The second one would be for Mark. Mark, I spend a lot of time in juvenile hall as a surrogate parent, and IEPs are a mess, and a lot of them are from Modesto City Schools. So when they come back, who will be monitoring the children that are coming out of juvenile hall? Who's monitoring their IEPs because they crashed and burned this last year? So that's just a brain for thoughts that you can start entertaining with your team, because juvenile hall students from MCS, their IEPs are a mess. And so that's for the hubs and all that good stuff that you guys are now doing. I actually am impressed. I will go on record to say I am impressed. From where we've come, Mrs. West, you're amazing. I thank you. Cindy, you're a trooper. Chad, you're still in the race with us, and I appreciate you for that. And Mr. Irvin, thank you. The rest of you, I mean, there's a new one. I don't know you yet, but you two need to improve with public and parents' engagement, and that's under the LCAP. And that's our voice. We need a voice out there. I'm too big now, and I believe that you both sit on that representing Latinos and the disadvantaged population. So I hope, Homero, that you will step up to your seat. And that's about it for now.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Quick question.
Do we have further? Yes, thank you.
Quick question, yes. Rose Mitchell with NAACP, Acting Education Chair. We're still looking for someone to replace me. I have a question regarding the parent engagement and outreach. I think Mady's team does a wonderful job, and I just want to celebrate her and everyone else who participates in the things that NAACP does, and you do it willingly, and it's always nice to see you show up. I wanted to ask about the URL that someone gave regarding the what's available online, and I'm wondering if the Parker Committee, if they're still active and involved, and if they participate in any of these trainings that occur. Does anyone know? Haven't talked to anyone. I saw Jocelyn recently, but we really didn't have a chance to go into much.
This isn't the forum to be able to answer questions for you, but I can have Mr. Herbst connect with you tomorrow and give you the outline of what was covered last year, but also what we're planning for this year, and that is part of it.
Okay.
So if Mr. Herbst will reach out to Rose tomorrow,
Yes.
then we can set up a time.
Great. And I want to reach out to you if I can stay until the meeting's over. Otherwise, I'll give you a call, Dr. Noguchi. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments from the public? I want to thank you for speaking, because this is kind of why we do what we do, is to hear comments. And so I just I thank you for being here and taking your time tonight for this. I'm looking now for any questions or comments from board members. Trustee Maestas?
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Like I said earlier, I can feel the energy within my own household from the kids going back to school, and it's been a joy coming home every day and asking, how was school? What did you do? What was your favorite part? And of course, I get PE a lot from my daughter and recess from my son. So, gotta ask them a little more. But the happiness is there, and I don't think all last year I heard anything about my friends or this person, that person said this, or we're gonna go. This morning my daughter was ready to play a game with her friends, and we're gonna play this game. And so that energy hasn't been there, and it is just exciting to see that, and I feel that. And so thank you for this report. I did want to highlight one more thing that I think is especially important, and something that we saw on a couple of weeks ago that I haven't ever seen was nutrition services. And I am floored by the amount of work that nutrition services does for our community. And the bigger thing is that you highlight here the number of meals, and by far, nutrition services is feeding our community. Breakfast and lunch for kids, all kids. It's transformative. And the ability for us to do this for the children is quite special. And I just want to thank everybody at Nutrition Services, all of the people that are out there working hard to feed our community and to feed our kids. I am completely appreciative of all of that hard work. So I wanted to highlight that. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Vice President Lopez and then Trustee Irvin.
Yes, thanks to everyone for the presentation. I did have a question for Ms. Noonan. Do we know a timeline in regards to the parent ambassadors? I know you talked about Madi's team, which is an amazing team, but I know that we're hoping to bring on the parent ambassadors shortly. So what do we have for that?
Yes, excellent question. So this evening, as part of the consent agenda, the job description for the coordinator of special parent projects was approved. So we'll be launching the recruitment for that. The goal was to get that hired first and then to start the recruitment for the parent ambassadors. So we are going to be launching that shortly.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Irvin.
Yes, I also wanted to point out the great things in the report we just received of our first day. A question I had also, I didn't see, was I got a question from a couple of students who happen to be friends of my daughter, and her asking about test taking, SAT and ACT, and college counseling, in terms of some of the changes or some of the things that they can expect this year in terms of preparing for college, given that the pandemic has changed some things in terms of testing and being preparation. Are they going to be required if they're going to a UC school or CSU school? What are some of those things that they need to be prepared for, given the current situation?
Well, Trustee Irvin, you win a prize tonight, because I'm not sure that I know all the specifics of the testing, but I would be happy to gather that information around the AP testing, SATs, PSATs, all of those, ACTs, all the Ts for students. Those things have changed, year to year and month to month, it feels like in some cases, but we can definitely get the board some information on what those details are as of August of 21.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Marks.
This was a great report. Loved hearing. I always love hearing all the things when we start back school on the first day of school, the first week of school, and just seeing all the happy faces was so great. And then buses running around town, it's just great. So just a couple comments. I know I forgot to mention the nutrition department and touring that and seeing the giant bowl that they mix things in. It was literally this big with a giant mixer. But and I think we fed 4.5 million meals last year, something like that. I couldn't remember exactly, but it seemed like it was a lot of meals last year for our community and our students because we didn't turn anyone away. So that was cool. I'm glad you brought that up, Trustee Maestas. And then just the job description, I liked that Trustee Lopez talked about that as well, and Ms. Mitchell brought it up. But in the new job description that we approved in the consent agenda, it has this one bullet or this one point on it that adds parents leading change, which is the Dr. Parker Committee. It says, assist with recruiting and encouraging parents to participate in various school and district-wide trainings, workshops, activities, and parent events, including but not limited to trainings such as parent cafes, parents leading change meetings, and other parent-related events. So I really appreciate that was added to the job description. And so I look forward to seeing who's going to end up in that position.
Thank you. Yes, Student Representative Banaka.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone, the district, the staff members, the teachers, everyone who was a part of making the transition back to in-person learning so seamless. I can say as a student, I'm so excited to go to school. I don't care if I have to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm just excited to go there, and it is honestly so comfortable to know that we're taking the precautions necessary to stay safe. And so I just want to thank everyone who's been a part of that. I can speak for myself, but I also think I can speak for many students when I say that this pandemic has had probably the biggest impact on our mental health, our collective mental health in history, really. And I know that we mentioned mental health and socio-emotional resources in this presentation, and I just had a suggestion. I've seen personally that a lot of my peers simply don't know what resources are available at their school. Even though we've done so much work and we do have resources, sometimes it's just a small disconnect that makes all the difference. And so I would suggest that we make these resources more accessible because we already have them in a lot of cases, and so they're not very useful if no one knows about them, right? So I personally today went to all of, I think, 5 high schools' websites and tried to find mental health resources. And let me tell you, it was like a wild goose chase because I was going through different pages. I felt like I was going through just so many loopholes and rabbit holes through these websites, and I was kind of getting confused. Every website was different. I just think that if we made it clearer and we really publicize these resources, it would really help students. And then also working with peer-to-peer resources, because a lot of students don't feel comfortable going to adults. And so really working on that in our district would also be helpful. But again, I want to thank everyone who's made this transition back to in-person so seamless and just so amazing for all of the students.
Thank you. It's so nice to hear a student perspective because you see things that we don't see. Seeing no other lights, I had just one question on the technology piece, so I think this was you. I love the fact that we're providing families technology help because so many of our parents don't know how to help their students because they don't know how to work the technology. So I love seeing that we're doing late nights on Wednesdays and we're doing Saturdays to make it easy for parents. My question is, do we have either translators there or do we have the workshops that are bilingual so that all of our parents can access that?
The answer is yes, we do.
Okay.
So on the tech support side, we have bilingual staff members, and then Krista's team has bilingual people also.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Seeing no other questions or comments, thank you for the wonderful report, everyone. We appreciate that. We will move on now to B4, which is the approval of the 45-day budget revision. Mr. Zerly.
Thank you, Dr. West. Good evening again, trustees. To the delight of my cabinet colleagues, this may be the shortest budget revision I've done in my career. and so I'll briefly explain why we're doing this. But Education Code 42127 states that not later than 45 days after the governor signs the Annual Budget Act, a school district shall make available for public review any revisions in revenues and expenditures that it has made to its budget to reflect the funding made available. On June 28th, Governor Newsom signed the budget bill into law. We had already adopted our budget based on the May revision for this school year. And we only have one significant revision, thankfully. But in the sake of full transparency, we wanted to show this at this point in time. And it is a $1,775,285 increase to our ending fund balance. Now we have a projected ending fund balance for the year at $99,466,450, and this is because the state unemployment insurance in the May revision, it was estimated to be a 1.23% of our payroll. That was an increase from 0.05 in the prior year. So it was a rather large increase that came to us unexpected in the May revise. With the signed budget division, it is 0.5% instead of 1.23%, and so we recognize the savings of $1.775 million, which is what we're adjusting right now. Just to point out, though, as I mentioned, last year was 0.05. This year is 0.5. That is still a $2.1 million increase year over year in our costs due to the increase in state unemployment insurance. But we are pleased to recommend that the Board of Education approve our 45-day budget revision to reflect the funding made available by the lower state unemployment insurance rate.
Thank you, Mr. Zerli. Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, do we have questions or comments from the board on this item? Seeing none, I am looking for a motion to approve the 45-day budget revision. Maestas, and seconded by Trustee Brown. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Zerli. Next, moving on to B5, which is our report of summer programs of 2021. This is Mr. Lamelli, I believe.
All right. Good evening, Board President Dr. West and Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, Cabinet, and members of the public. My name is Tony Lomelli. I'm the Director of Student Support Services, and I'm here to report on our summer school programming from for this past summer, 2021. All right, it's working. All right. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a report on the district's 2021 summer school programs, share some data, and also especially provide some next steps to increase and expand the effectiveness of our summer school programs, and then save some time to answer any questions that you all may have as well. Our summer school was aligned to District Goal 1, which was to increase academic achievement and ensure equitable access to enable all students to attain college and career readiness. And it really applied to 1.2, 1.4, and 1.5. So really looking at our MTSS supports, college and career indicators, and also providing enrichment activities to all school sites. And really the purpose of summer school, especially this summer, of all summers, was to extend the school year in order to provide in-person enrichment and academic support for all students. So that was really the purpose, and it served a bigger purpose, especially this summer. A little overview of summer programs. We had a lot going on. Early childhood education had a summer bridge program for our incoming kinders. We also held academic elementary summer school at all sites. 2 sites were located off campus due to construction, but all sites had summer schools going on. Grades 7 through 12 held secondary education credit recovery, which made up remediation, which is traditional type of summer school, along with academic improvement intercession, which I'll go into more further in the presentation. Something that is brand new this year is our K-12 engagement enrichment boot camps. in which we provide enrichment activities from TK through 12. Excuse me on that one. All right, to talk about early childhood education in summer, I have Heidi Nunes, our Senior Director of Early Childhood Education.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, cabinet, Dr. Noguchi. In June, Early Childhood Education was excited to host our first ever Summer Bridge program for all enrolled ECE students who are transitioning to kindergarten. Our staff, students, and families were very excited to safely expand our cohorts and welcome 268 of our littlest learners for 17 days of in-person instruction. And the program is offered at 17 sites across the district, and we're excited and planning now to expand even further next year. So the focus of our program and instruction was focused around social emotional development and early literacy and math skills to help ensure that these students were kindergarten ready. Pre and post assessments were given using the kindergarten student entrance profile, which measures physical and health readiness, social emotional readiness, and early math and literacy readiness. And I'm excited to report that 92% of our students who attended our ECE Summer Bridge program showed growth in one or more of the assessment domains. So the program was a huge success, and most of all, our students were excited to be on campus 5 days a week. Thank you.
We had the opportunity this year. In past years, traditional elementary summer school would take place at 2 or 3 sites across the district. This was a different year where we had the opportunity to make it more personal. We offered it at all 22 elementary sites. Two schools were held off campus due to construction. Sonoma was held at Lakewood, and El Vista was held at Rose Avenue. But those students had the personal experience of working with their site administrators and their own personal teachers. So that really was a big difference. The focus this year obviously had a math and ELA and ELD focus. To help mitigate and get these kids back in person and getting in front of their teachers and getting that structure they need in math and ELA, but also gave sites an opportunity to start delving into multi-tier systems of supports. As you heard in other reports, we've expanded those programs. This gave an opportunity for these sites to start that process, and other sites that are already flourishing in that process continue that process through the summer. Along with that, enrichment took place at the school sites, along with our enrichment boot camps. There was also enrichment incorporated into the traditional summer school as well. And again, I'd like to mention that it was led by site administration and site staff, so students really had the opportunity to meet their teachers and make that connection and re-engage. Another program that took place led by Maricela Mota and CIPD was our English Learner Springboard that took place side by side at Marshall Elementary with our traditional summer school. This is some of the more exciting news. Our goal this summer was really re-engagement, and we had the opportunity to serve 2,539 students this summer in our elementary sites. Compared to past years, the top number was 1,115, so we were able to grow that by 227% and provide that much needed support. With that core focus on ELA and math focus, all our principals, knowing their students, provided a pre and post assessment in both subjects. We showed 85% of our students across the district showing growth in ELA, along with 89% showing growth in math. The English Learner Leadership Camp Springboard that took place at Marshall Elementary, led by Maricela Mota, had 42 English learners enrolled. 30 students had growth in at least one area in DIBELS, which is our literacy assessment platform on how we check on literacy. But even more important, this gave an opportunity for our parents to attend live or family sessions where they could learn side by side with their students, with their teachers in this program. 32 students that participated in this program had an opportunity to receive a tablet for achieving their growth goals, so it was great to see that happen. Another great accomplishment this summer was our junior high remediation. In the past, we've had somewhere between 40 to 100 students participate in summer school at the junior high level. This summer, we had 385 total students receive credits this summer through our Florida Virtual Course Program, which our teachers use during the summer to recoup credits. Out of those students, 154 of those students received 10 credits or more by completing 2 or more courses. That is a total of 2,880 credits, total credits earned. In comparison, in 2020 and 2019, there's 350 and 230 credits earned. So a huge increase and impact we have having summer school take place at all our junior high sites. Our high school remediation program, which is our traditional summer school, because we had 2 components going on for credit recovery, was led by Craig Springer along with Eric Corgiat at the high school level. We offered it at all sites, and this has even included Elliott and our G230 program. We had 1,595 total students receive 5 credits. And out of those students, 614 of those students received 10 credits or more by completing 2 or more courses. If you read the article in the Modesto Bee at the end of June, Mr. Springer talks about how kids were motivated, they were in person, and they were quote unquote on fire. And this is just an attune to it. In the past years, kids earning more than 5 credits was 200 and 337 respectively. And we doubled that number this year for these students, and that was really powerful. And they had the opportunity to really make up credits and get caught up. Including with that is we had 93 additional students meet graduation requirements due to summer programming. That ended up as a total of 12,742 total credits earned. In past years, we hovered around at most 9,000 to 10,000. So that's almost 3,000 more credits earned this summer through our remediation program. Something new that took place this year, and it also took place in the winter and the spring, was our intercession model, which was an academic improvement model. This gave students a chance, or allowed us to identify students to raise grades and improve academic achievement from spring classes. So students had the opportunity, if they received an F in the spring, not to make up the whole class altogether, but had an opportunity to meet with that teacher in June, make up the credits that were needed, or maybe a test that they missed, and improve their grades. This not only applied to students that had failed classes, but maybe a student that wasn't A through G compliant and had a D or C and wanted to improve their GPA so they were ready for college. We had 442 total students improve grades from F to passing. That's an additional 2,210 credits I've recovered. We had an additional 356 students increase a letter grade for a course taken in spring semester. So this is not the students that had Fs. These are students that were looking to improve their GPA so they're more college ready. So students that had Ds, Cs, or Bs that wanted to improve their grades. So we had 356 of those. This ended up being a total of almost 15,000 total credits earned in 9th, 12th grades for both intercession and remediation, which in turn is almost 5,500 more credits than has been earned in past years. And here's more of the fun part. We had the opportunity working with CIPD and Dr. Odell to start engagement and enrichment boot camps to TK-12. This process started in the spring where teachers and other staff members were surveyed on proposals that they made to engage students. So really looking at re-engagement. And in this area, it was to be offered at different times in remediation and academic intervention so that students had opportunities to be re-engaged. And really this was intended not only for kids that need remediation, but all kids. Because not all kids fit the criteria that had to make up credits or below grade level. So this really gave an opportunity for kids to re-engage, whether it was through social emotional support or highly engaging, fun, and academic opportunities so that students can get back, socializing with their friends and getting re-engaged at their schools. At the elementary site, we had 44 boot camps held by teachers. Out of these 44 boot camps, 619 students participated. We also held 8 after-school summer camps at the elementary level, in which 549 students participated as well. In the year 2019, we had 285 students participate in enrichment activities. This summer, we had 1,168 students participate in being re-engaged. The biggest piece of this is they had the opportunity to not only get re-engaged, but it was personal. They had the opportunity to work with teachers in fun environments. Maybe teachers are going to have this following year, or maybe teachers, they missed the boat of building those relationships through the year due to distance learning. So it was really powerful engagement and support for these kids. Sorry, I was off a slide, sorry. At the middle school level, again, we had programs going on. We had 20 enrichment programs held, which included some support from MJC with summer camps. We had 305 students participate, at the middle school level, as well at the high school level. We had 68 boot camps that were held with 1,009 students that participated in those programs. And these programs differ from MJC-led camps, which were focused on fire science and nursing, to music, any type of music you could talk about, a rock band, literacy, even opportunities for teachers to re-engage with students that they never had a chance to, whether it pertained to an AP class, a counselor that works with English learners, creating a session where they could work with kids. Really, the spectrum was wide as far as the supports that were there and the opportunities that were there for students at the secondary level. There's really not a baseline to compare this to because this is new. High schools in the past have done things like this on their own, whether it's through their clubs or sports. This was an opportunity to really look at what we can offer kids in all different areas and engage them. So it's a great baseline as we look to expand into the next year. We provided an exit survey both for our students and our teachers. 82 of our teachers that participated took the exit survey, and the things that would change is really the things that came out were more time, longer boot camps, and finding ways to even get more kids involved. That was the big things we heard from our teachers. The emails that I received throughout this time talked about thanks for this opportunity. You know, a lot of them have passions and interests outside the core subjects, and they had opportunities and strengths that they've never been able to showcase, and they were able to showcase. So it was really powerful from teachers to hear this piece of not only students getting re-engaged, but teachers feeling re-engaged as well. Student exit survey was very similar. The number one response to change, make the boot camps longer and get more of their friends involved in them. So those are the big things that we heard. Another big component of this re-engagement piece and this enrichment piece was a low level of stress that the students continue to comment on in the surveys, is that they felt like they went into an environment where they had the opportunity not only to re-engage with their friends, but also connect with teachers and people on the campus in a non-stress level. As you can see at the high schools, a lot of our kids are working hard to meet, and we're taking 3 AP classes. This was opportunities for them to re-engage and look at an interest that they may see going down the road, whether it's a career or a hobby, to really get re-engaged with their school and their students and their teachers. And for next steps, when I came aboard in spring, it was a fast-moving time, and we didn't have a lot of time. And really, for us, it's getting started early. We really want to get started early, whether it's October or November. We have a foundation for what we did for providing a robust and expanded program, and we want to expand those things. So really getting started early so that we can get the word out, publicize it early, and provide many opportunities coming up this summer. But not only this summer, looking at our winter and spring options as well as what we can do to continue to re-engage our kids and provide opportunities for them. And I also want to take this time because expanded learning or summer programming, it required not only everybody in this room, but our classified staff, our certificated staff, and our management staff to step up. This is time when most of these people were off. I know Mr. Maestas mentioned nutrition services and other programs. It required everyone to step up. It required everyone to work outside their normal times and support us. And we couldn't have done it without our partners. We couldn't have done it without our teachers, the people in this room, the classified staff to step up. I mean, everybody, all the above, transportation. It took pretty much all hands on deck for us to get this accomplished and to really provide services to all our kids at all our sites, which is a huge task from going from 5 to 6 sites to 5 to 6 to 10 sites on give or take what the budget was on a different summer, to serving every school site and having programs going on every school site. Well, thank you for your time. If you have any questions at this time, I'd be glad to help you out with those.
Thank you for that excellent presentation. Looking for lights, I see Trustee Mejia. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have any members of the public here tonight wishing to speak on this item? See none. We will go now to the board. Thank you for that reminder. So Trustee Mejia, then Irvin, then Maestas.
Check. And Brown. He doesn't have a light.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have a light. I don't know where your hand came up in this order. So you can go if you want after Trustee Mejia and then Banaka.
Well, first of all, I just say congratulations. I think I was getting dizzy with the amount of numbers thrown out there. I was like, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the district that this year they were able to do this because studies have shown that a lot of kids lose a lot during the summer, and especially in lower income kids tend to lose a lot. So I was super pumped to see these numbers and super excited that you're planning ahead. I think the excitement of the kids is going to help you promote and build it to as big as you can with the capacity that you can. I'm really just super proud and super happy to be reading this massive nuts and numbers and going back and forth. So I was really, really pleased. And then also may present the opportunity for maybe some nonprofits to jump in and join you in some other endeavors. I know there's several nonprofits that do music and do different type of theater and stuff that I could easily jump into this with the right protocols and safety, of course. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Trustee Brown next.
So I really want to put emphasis on the thank you message that came on the screen and express gratitude to all of the staff members that really put extra time in, because this was over and above anything that's expected under contract. I'm pleased to see how many credits were recovered, and I'm curious. I know that there were other options available for our students as well, and that some of the county programs actually offered kids an opportunity for them to get some credit recovery with a different schedule than what we offered. Do we have any figures from the county that would tell us how many of our students got credit recovery through their programs that we can add to and enhance the numbers that we have to show what happened over the summer?
Those figures, I mean, because this is an August board meeting, those figures take a little bit more time because they come to our counselors at our sites. But we gladly provide those as soon as we have those, because then our registrars will get those entered, and then I can provide that additional data for you.
That's great. We've got a lot to be proud of. I know we have a long way to go to help kids get back to where we hope they will be by the end of this school year, and I'm grateful that you're putting the effort into building on what we've already done.
Thank you.
Trustee Irvin? Oh. Trustee Irvin?
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate what my colleagues, trustees have said about the opportunity to have summer school at all the schools and all the enrichment that was offered. They can't ever say now that, that summer brain drain was prevalent this summer, because it definitely was not. Brains were being stimulated in all facets of, academics, enrichment, theater, all of that good stuff that kids need over the summer. My daughter was one of those who earned 10 credits this summer. But then I didn't think in hindsight that just means she's got less classes in the spring, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have too much time on her hands. So, but it was good. She had a good time, and got those credits out the way, and so I'm gonna encourage her to still take a full load in the spring. We'll see how that conversation goes. But again, thank you for all of your team, and for all the good work that went into putting on a very good summer for our students and families as well to be engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Maestas?
Thank you. Thanks once again for all of this. We had two things that we had to tackle over the summer. Not only the traditional summer slide that many kids suffer, but also coming out of primarily distance learning in the previous year. So there was a lot to do, and I commend everyone for that. I do have a couple questions, if you can answer those for me. What were the dates of these spanning the summer?
For enrichment, it took place from when the last day of school ended. So I would say June 2nd, all the way until we came back. So July 31st to the end of July for enrichment. Summer school took place from June 3rd to June 29th for traditional. And then for our ESY or extended school or for SPED, they spend one additional day, June 30th. For our intercession models, those really differed by teachers. So most of them were 1 to 2 weeks long, depending on the need and the students that were taking the classes and the classes they need to make up. So the first 2 weeks of June made up most of the intercession models of our teachers that volunteered their time to come back and help our students improve their grades.
Excellent. Thank you. I got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
That's okay. So you mentioned the intercession model. So I'm as everybody kind of knows this about me already by now, I think, is I'm a data man, and I love to look at data and see what those data tell me and seeing trends. The intercession seems like a huge success, and I'm wondering if these data that we can collect, if we can continue this model to have students have these opportunities to increase their grades, to improve grades, or to come back and try to work on these. So I don't know if this is a continuing thing, but that was one of the things about this whole thing that I was very impressed on. And speaking with data, do you plan on looking at the success of students that were enrolled in summer in their current year? I'm wondering if those would be interesting data to look at to see if our summer, I mean, as much as we get the students engaged in and by itself, the engagement piece is huge. The other piece that's huge already is the ability for parents to have their students in school doing something positive over the summer. But the other piece that would be interesting to see is how do these growths in mathematics, for instance, or ELA, these 2,539 students in elementary, the kids that made up the credits for 712, how does that help these kids be successful this year? Like, does it translate? And having those data hopefully turn out positive will give us all the more strength to offer programs again in the future. So I'd be interested in seeing if we can gather those data from these kids in particular over the course of this year.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as the intercession, our goal is to not only look at summer, the expansion, but winter and spring options to continue the intercession model.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
Student Representative Banaka?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this amazing report. I'm honestly at a loss for words. I mean, this is just such a terrific accomplishment. And as a student, it's so reassuring to see that the district is working so hard to help students who really struggled during distance learning and during the whole pandemic year. I can say with certainty that learning loss affected everyone. I know it affected me. It affected my friends. It affected IB students, AP students, CB students. Everyone alike was affected by learning loss. And it wasn't just academic, it was also a social loss. I mean, we were inside, isolated by ourselves for a whole, over a year. And so it's really great to see that these programs are in place and were in place this summer to help students remedy that. And when you were giving this presentation, I was just so astounded to see that just the data and the numbers that were so large. I mean, almost 15,000 credits were earned for high school students. That's truly amazing. And to see that nearly 100 students are able to graduate now because they were able to meet these requirements is just so great. And so I really want to thank you again for all of your great work. And I hope to see more great work during winter and spring when all of this continues.
Thank you.
Vice President Lopez?
Yes, thank you for the report. I echo what our fellow board members say. I think it's amazing the amount of work, the amount of credits earned, and it's all thanks to the hard work of everyone around and in this room and outside of it. So I really appreciate that. I did have a question because one of the things that was very interesting to me was the EL literacy camp, and especially how did that model look like for the parents? Because I know you said that they attended some sessions, so I don't know if you. I know Ms. Mota's in the back,
Yes.
so maybe she can speak more about
I know
that.
she spoke last meeting, but I'm going to encourage her to come up and she can provide more detail. Perfect timing.
Good evening, President West, trustees, Dr. Superintendent, and the public. I was not ready to speak, but I can answer your questions for Springboard. So this year we did, for the parent classes for Springboard, we had 4 of them, and they were done on the internet, so we did it via Teams. And the reason we did that is because with COVID in summer, we didn't know the babysitting. We didn't know the capacity of the room, so that's why. So all parents attended either the first time, or we recorded it, and then they were able to watch it again.
Great, and so what was the presentations for them around, or what were they looking at in these presentations?
Yeah, the purpose of Springboard and the parent connection is to make sure that bringing the students and the families connected to reading literacy, so the teachers were able to teach the parents how to engage in reading strategies for their students. So the teachers taught the parents how to ask questions during the reading. So questions pre-reading, during reading, and after. There's specific topics, but I don't have them right now.
Oh, thank you. That sounds great. It really is important that parents take a role, right? Take a more active role into the children's literacy and education overall. And so, thank you for providing that space for them to learn. Because I know a lot of times folks are lost. They want to help, but they don't know how to. So, thank you for sharing a couple of tips for them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this report. It's exciting to hear. I have to say, I remember when we were discussing this last spring of what we were planning to do, I thought, these poor teachers have struggled. They must be exhausted. No one's going to want to come back and work summer school. And the amount of people that we had come back kind of amazes me. And then when I read all the comments from the teachers and the students, it was a joy-filled experience for a lot of people just to come back and meet on campus and to have those relationships. So I think that's really encouraging. I had just one question on the elementary academic programs. You were saying the data shows 85% of students showed growth in ELA and 89% showed growth in math. Is this a big jump compared to 2019? Like, what's average? What do students normally improve in those two areas?
So the measurements that were used were our DIBELS and our San Diego Quick. So literacy, basically looking at words correct per minute and literacy. And then for math was our SWON diagnostic program that was put together. Typically in our summer school programs, we do see growth in that area between 80 and 90%. But to see it this vast with this many kids was the difference this year. So when we're able to provide that targeted intervention at 3 sites, we do see that growth. The big key is here now we're able to provide that service to more students and more schools.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you again for such a wonderful report.
Thank you. Everyone have a good evening.
We have only one more report, so I'm going to suggest we press on. I know we've been here since 4:30, but Ms. Hinkle, we would love to hear from you as our last report tonight on the Assembly Bill. Welcome.
That's a tough act to follow. First, opening days of school and then summer school. I'm sure you're going to be equally as riveted with this report. Good evening, Board President Dr. West, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, Cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Danielle Hinkle, Senior Director, Student Support Services. The purpose of my presentation this evening is to provide information about Assembly Bill, or AB 104, which was recently approved to support students who may have suffered academically in response to the pandemic. I will be reviewing the provisions of AB 104 and sharing the implementation timeline that is required as part of the law. And I will inform you of the communication protocol that we had with our families and our staff and share out next steps. The implementation of AB 104, along with this report, are in direct alignment with District Goal 1.4, which is developing a multi-tiered system of support for all students. and Goal 3.3, which centers around communication with stakeholders on important issues regarding students. So, signed by the governor on July 1st, 2021, Assembly Bill 104 includes provisions in 3 specific areas. The first outlines a process for parents to request a meeting to discuss whether or not it's appropriate for their student to repeat the grade that they were enrolled in the prior school year. The second provision is centered around a process for parents to request that a letter grade earned in the 2020-2021 school year be changed to either a P for pass or NP for no pass. And lastly, the last provision is that eligible students be exempt from district graduation requirements that exceed the state's graduation requirements. And I'm going to be going into a little bit more detail on all 3 of these. So first off, the first area, again, which centers around grade retention. Eligible students for this provision include students who were in kindergarten through grade 11 last year and who had deficient grades for more than half of their coursework. So for our 712 students, this would include students who were earning D or F grades for half of their coursework. And at the elementary level, this would include students who have or who earned a level 1 on the standards-based report card, in half or more of their standards, which again would indicate that the student is performing below grade level. So in this provision, if a parent is expressing interest in a discussion of grade retention, a meeting is scheduled with the principal, a teacher, and the parent, and that meeting has to be held within 30 calendar days of the request. The meeting will include a review of the individual student's performance, the latest research on the impacts of grade retention, and all of the school's intervention and supports that are available to address the student's learning loss that they may have experienced. And then following the meeting and within 10 calendar days, the parent would be provided with a final decision of the request for retention. In the area of grades, parents of students who were in high school last year could make requests to change transcript letter grades earned last year to pass for any grade that is a D- or above, or no pass for failing grades. Parents requesting this change could request to any or all grades, the pass or no pass, and there would be no negative impact on the student's grade point average should the parent request to make that change. Applications for grade changes had a submission deadline of August 13th, 2021, and again, this was outlined in the law. And updated transcripts will be provided to parents by August 27th, 2021, and again, this timeline established within the AB 104 law. Finally, in the area of graduation requirements, students who were in grade 11 or 12 last year and who were not on track to graduate in 4 years are able to be exempt from local graduation requirements that are above the statewide minimum. Such students would be offered opportunities for credit recovery. Those things would include things like extended summer school, regular summer school, our G230 credit recovery program, as well as a 5th year of school. And on this one, I'd like to say that we're pretty fortunate that this Board of Education approved a provision in the spring of last year, which in essence did just this for last year's seniors. And so this element of AB 104 really just extends that to the current year seniors to be considered for that exemption, if you will. So this next slide, I will not read this in detail, but this really outlines the timeline as well as our communication plan. And again, the law was very specific with regard to when things would be communicated, either by the California Department of Education or by school districts. A couple of things I wanted to point out. We did provide an extensive training to our site administrators on AB 104. We hit them the first week back for them, so they were really excited about that. Again, we posted information on our district's website and sent written notice to all parents about all of the elements of AB 104. Of course, those communications were in English and in Spanish. We provided easy to access links for parents who needed or to request additional information. And we also provided a school messenger communication alerting parents, hey, you're going to be getting a letter in the mail, and this is what it's going to discuss. And again, referring them to the website as well. In addition to the training for administrators, we also held a training for our school site registrars who would be working with parents and families who might be requesting that pass, no pass. Also provided a training for counselors to help them in any questions that they may field about, how will this impact my student who may be applying to colleges or maybe trying to meet NCAA eligibility for athletics, those kinds of things. And so again, great questions from both of those groups to be able to better support families. Let me go on to the next slide. This is just a screenshot, nothing here that you can read because it's too small, but a screenshot of what the information looks like on our district website. Right on the landing page, there's a big box labeled AB 104, and then if you were to click on that link, it would take you to some basic information about the 3 various areas of AB 104, and again, all of the links for parents. I also wanted to add that we also invited all of our office staff, et cetera, to be very welcoming and support parents who might have questions. If a family needed support in completing the form or didn't know how to complete the form, office staff could complete that on their behalf and make sure that it got submitted and routed to the appropriate individual. So next steps. Obviously, the district and site staff will continue to support and assist parents with their questions, concerns, or the process if they want to be considered for one of those 3 elements. And we will monitor the data. We're pretty interested to see how many parents are requesting these meetings to discuss retention or grade changes, et cetera. And just as a point of reference, I did look at the data as of today. So as of today, we have had 84 parents who have requested a meeting to discuss the possibility of grade level retention with their respective schools, and that is across all levels, elementary, junior high, and high school. We had just over 300 parents of high school students requesting the pass or no pass grades as a replacement for letter grades earned last year. And we have 81 current year seniors who are in process of being evaluated for the exemption of the district's graduation requirements. One last thing that I wanted to point out, it's really only the request for pass, no pass grades that had a deadline. The request for a meeting to discuss grade level retention or the need to evaluate a student to graduate on the state minimum, no deadline for those, and so those discussions are ongoing. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Looking for lights on this report for questions. Trustee Maestas and then Trustee Marks. Sorry. Do we have any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, we will go to Trustee Maestas and then Trustee Marks.
Thank you. Thank you for the detail in this, and I appreciate all of the work that you've done to put this together, and all the work that our staff, the counselors, everyone that's part of this is really important for our kids. So I preface what I'm about to say with that. It's not, what I'm about to say has nothing to do with actually any of our staff. It's mostly the timeline that was given to us by the state.
Mm-hmm.
As a former high school teacher that's taught many seniors for most of my career, and advised kids about college and teaching at a college, there's not really an understanding of a credit, no credit, and what it does, how it affects your GPA, negatively or positively. And to expect that parents are going to look at this between July 16th and August 13th, which is like 4 days into school without any counselor help, is ridiculous. This is my rant to the state, right? I just want to say that. This is like, I've talked to kids, university students that don't realize credit, no credit, and what benefits or negatives that it could have when you take that option. There were I received a letter in the mail. There are quite a lot of schools, colleges that are accepting the pass, no pass, state schools from the list that I saw. And we had a lot of students that are college bound that maybe didn't understand that if they get a C in a class or a C minus, they could take a pass and have it not drop their GPA and make them have a higher GPA going into college. So I know private schools and things, there are other schools that don't accept it, but I just feel like there wasn't any time for counselors and teachers and other advisors to talk to students about this pass no pass thing. And it just really upsets me. I'm really like I said, I had a student that just she emailed me back and just thanked me for the advice I gave her going to college a couple of years ago. And is that my time's up? Is that something? Break the tension a little bit. I just feel like the state failed our high school students by expecting this from July 16th to August 13th. We don't even have high schools that are open yet. Come on. I think I really do thank you guys for the work that you've done, and I know that our counselors have probably already reached out or even reached out through the summer. And I appreciate those people who've done that, teachers that have reached out to their students, knowing that they have these options, and to explain this to them. But, it hurts my heart to know that there's so many students out there that just don't have the information. That little small disconnect that Student Representative Banaka had mentioned before, that small disconnect between the adults and the students. And we've got to do something a bit better about that. So I'm sorry about the little rant, but it's just something that's really close to my heart. And I wish we can get the information to our kids in a better time than what they gave us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Marks and then Vice President Lopez.
Thank you for this thorough report, and I appreciate Trustee Maestas' comments. When I first read it, for some reason I missed the AB 104 and was thinking, so are we doing this? And wow, this is a short timeline. And so then I went back and went, oh yeah, this is state law. This is what they passed. And thought, wow, this is a really super short timeline for students. And then I was trying to figure out, how are we communicating this, to our parents? Because that's the key in all of this. And I think whoever wrote the AB 104 did not recognize how this actually would be played out this year for our students, and wish that our students had more opportunity. The deadline's already passed for the pass, no pass, but just that they could have taken advantage of that for colleges. And I saw the concerns about some colleges, that it might negatively affect their eligibility for sports, and then might not be accepted to certain colleges. So I thought those are important things for students to know. So I appreciate this, and I did have a comment. I'm trying to recall what it was, but I just appreciated that. Oh, and so here's what I wanted to ask is, so I look at this as, even though they implemented it this year, but the students that took classes this summer and to try to improve their grades, I'm believing that will help them on this AB 104, and then also if they get another year of high school, it'll also help them. Is that correct? They'll have a chance to make up more credit.
Yes, students would have the opportunity to stay for a fifth year. We have fifth year seniors here right now who have been evaluated, perhaps for the state minimum graduation plan. They may have done, probably many of them did summer school classes as well, and may have been able to improve their credit status in that way as well.
Yes, and I was glad we actually had some forethought about how we could help our
Absolutely.
students.
I feel for districts who did not, And had to
Yes.
go back and reevaluate all of last year's seniors to determine who might then become a graduate.
Yeah, so I know, and I know it was just such a really tough year for everybody all around. It was just anyway, just to give them a little extra time to make up that education that they need to get them a head start on college or delay college another year, which I think was good. So thank you, but thank you for your comments. I hear your concerns.
Okay, I think Vice President Lopez no longer needs to speak. Do we have other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you so much for this report. Do we have any items to be placed on future Board of Education agendas? See none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Trustee Marks and seconded by Trustee Mejia. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. The meeting is